Something went horribly wrong behind the gates of Montecito, and now the entire royal family is on edge. Prince Harry's name is back in the headlines, but this time, it's not about royal drama or celebrity interviews. It's something far darker. According to insider whispers, Harry was found unconscious, rushed to the hospital under tight secrecy, and what triggered it all might expose years of buried truth the palace desperately tried to hide. But while emergency crews scrambled to save him, Meghan Markle was reportedly nowhere to be found. Why? And what really happened that night? The story you're about to hear isn't just scandal, it's the unraveling of something much bigger.
There's a fair amount of drugs, marijuana, magic mushrooms, cocaine. I mean, that's going to surprise people.
But important to acknowledge.
It shows he's a very stupid man, because there's so many instances. I mean, one of the things that he's been complaining about...
magic mushrooms in California. Oh,
You idiot.
It started with silence, no alarms, no headlines, just a quiet emergency unfolding behind luxury walls. According to close sources, Prince Harry was found completely unresponsive inside his California home. And this wasn't exhaustion or a routine health scare. It was serious. The man who reportedly discovered him was David Langdown, Harry's longtime bodyguard and trusted inner circle ally. Langdown isn't just hired help, he's a former Scotland Yard officer who's been protecting Harry since his early 20s, even earning honors from the late Queen herself. When he sounds the alarm, it's not a false call. Harry was rushed to a nearby hospital, his condition described as critical but recoverable. Insiders say it took hours before he was stabilized. But what sent him there in the first place? That's where things get murky and explosive. Early whispers point to drug use. Not rumors, not speculation, multiple sources are now tying the incident to substance abuse. If that's true, this wasn't just a medical scare. It was a full-blown relapse, and one that could finally force the royal institution to face the demons it spent years ignoring. Prince Harry's relationship with substances isn't breaking news, but this time it feels different. For years, whispers followed him through palace halls and media headlines: marijuana, alcohol, even experimental psychedelics. But behind closed doors, things allegedly got much darker. Reports from as far back as the early 2000s describe a young royal spiraling, blackouts, violent outbursts, and panic among palace aides who didn't know what to do with a prince who wouldn't play by the rules. In one infamous story, Harry was allegedly caught snorting vodka, not drinking it, snorting it. Medical experts say that's a near-instant way to send alcohol straight to the brain, risking death within seconds. And yet, the media barely blinked. The palace? Even less. When things got out of hand, Prince Charles reportedly built a private nightclub inside Highgrove to contain the behavior instead of confronting it. And that's the pattern. Every time Harry went off the rails, the royal machine spun up distractions, military photo ops, charity tours, and polished interviews. But none of it addressed the truth. This wasn't rebellion. It was a cry for help no one wanted to answer. While Prince Harry was being rushed to the hospital, fighting to regain consciousness, one person was noticeably missing: his wife. According to multiple eyewitness reports, Meghan Markle didn't stick around. She allegedly left the scene almost immediately and was spotted that same night at a private, members-only club, laughing and socializing like nothing had happened. To those close to the situation, this wasn't a coincidence. It looked like a move, an alibi. This wasn't some panicked spouse in shock. Sources claim Meghan was composed, deliberate, and very aware of how her absence would be perceived. And that's what has people talking. If Harry was facing a life-threatening crisis, why did she leave? Why make sure she was seen somewhere else? Some insiders believe she was creating distance, not just physically, but publicly. In a crisis, where was the support? The loyalty? For many watching closely, her exit said more than any press release ever could. But this isn't the first time Meghan's actions have raised questions, and when you look deeper into her past, what you find only makes this story even more disturbing. Long before she became a duchess, Meghan Markle had already made waves in certain Hollywood circles, and not for her acting talent. At her first wedding in Jamaica, guests still talk about the party favors they received. And no, we're not talking about scented candles. According to multiple attendees, gift bags included rolled joints, allegedly hand-packed by Meghan herself. Some guests didn't even realize what they were carrying until they were back in the US, a mistake that could have landed them in serious legal trouble. But that story isn't an isolated rumor, it's part of a larger pattern. Insiders now claim Meghan has always had a connection to the party scene and possibly even the means to access substances quickly and discreetly. Her mother, Doria, is rumored to have long-standing ties to California's underground circles, with whispers that she knows exactly where to get what. It's these claims that have resurfaced in light of Harry's hospitalization. Because if Meghan's past is as connected as some believe, it raises a chilling question. Is she just a bystander to Harry's spiral, or part of the reason it's happening? Behind every chaotic public moment, there's a private reality, and for Harry, insiders claim that reality may be darker than anyone imagined. It's not just that Meghan was absent the night he collapsed. It's the growing belief that she may be actively feeding the very habits tearing him apart. According to sources close to the couple, Meghan isn't just aware of Harry's ongoing struggles, she's allegedly using them. Whispers inside royal circles paint a picture of emotional control masked as support. Some claim she keeps Harry in a dependent, dazed state, using substances as a leash to steer the narrative, the relationship, and the brand they've built around themselves. It's a chilling accusation, but it's not new. Behind palace walls, staffers have reportedly long believed that Meghan's influence was less about love and more about control. And if even half of that is true, then Harry isn't just spiraling, he's trapped. This isn't a story of a couple overwhelmed by fame. It's the slow, calculated erosion of one man's freedom, hidden behind royal smiles and Hollywood deals. For years, every time Prince Harry stumbled, the palace had a plan: silence the whispers, clean up the mess, and distract the public. It became a routine, one tabloid flare-up, followed by a charity project, a military photo op, or a conveniently timed public appearance. And it worked. The headlines shifted, the rumors faded, and Harry kept spiraling behind the scenes. According to royal aides and former insiders, some incidents were far more serious than the public ever knew. Reports claim Harry once inhaled an entire hospital-grade canister of laughing gas during a visit, an act that could have been fatal. And yet, no one asked how he got access to it. No official statement. No investigation. Just another file closed and buried. Even during his time in the military, drug tests were allegedly avoided or faked. One palace staffer says Harry was quietly flown out of base hours before a surprise screening. The cover-ups weren't just about protecting Harry, they were about protecting the crown. But now, that strategy is falling apart. Because this time, the damage wasn't private. It was public, undeniable, and impossible to bury. The moment Prince Harry was admitted to the hospital, royal phones started ringing, not for sympathy, but for damage control. According to insiders, King Charles was personally notified within hours, triggering an immediate behind-the-scenes scramble. But there was no statement, no press briefing. The royal machine didn't move to help Harry, it moved to contain the story. Because if this incident goes public in full detail, it doesn't just harm Harry's image, it threatens to tear apart the carefully controlled narrative the monarchy has spent decades constructing. This isn't just another rebellious royal acting out. It's a full-blown crisis involving addiction, abandonment, and possible manipulation from inside the family. And at the center of it all? Meghan Markle. Her absence that night has reportedly shaken senior officials. Not just because she left, but because she seemed to know exactly where to be seen. The word being whispered in royal circles? Alibi. This wasn't a misstep. It was a strategy. And that realization has shifted the focus from protecting Harry to protecting the institution itself. Inside royal circles, concern over Harry is no longer the headline. The real conversations now revolve around Meghan, and they're not polite. Senior officials have reportedly begun digging into the past 5 years, re-examining everything from her social ties to her influence over Harry's decisions. The questions being asked behind palace walls aren't subtle anymore. Did she supply the substances? Did she intentionally isolate Harry from his family? Has she been building an ecosystem designed to keep him emotionally and psychologically dependent? Even Meghan's mother, Doria, is being quietly discussed. Once seen as a silent figure in the background, she's now rumored to have played a more active role than anyone realized. Some believe Doria may have even helped facilitate Harry's access to drugs, or at the very least, knew where it was coming from. None of it is confirmed. But the fact that these questions are being asked at the highest levels of the monarchy shows just how serious this has become. Legal teams are reportedly preparing, not for a divorce, but for a public detonation. Because if it turns out Meghan had any role in Harry's collapse, the palace won't protect her. This isn't about a one-time mistake or a bad night gone wrong. What's unfolding is a slow-motion collapse, a pattern of crisis after crisis that's finally catching up to everyone involved. And now, behind the palace doors, there's only one word on everyone's lips: fallout. If Harry doesn't fully recover, or worse, if he decides to speak out, this entire house of cards could come crashing down. The royal family has spent years shielding him from consequences, quietly cleaning up scandal after scandal. But this time, the mess is too big to ignore and too public to control. Whispers say lawyers are already positioning themselves not to end the marriage, but to prepare for what happens if the truth comes out. Because if even a sliver of what's being alleged is proven, if Meghan played any role in Harry's downward spiral, the monarchy won't lift a finger to defend her. Not now. Not with the public watching. And through it all, one heartbreaking fact remains: Prince Harry is not well. And maybe he never has been. Strip away the titles, the scandals, and the headlines, and what's left is a man who's been drowning for years. Prince Harry isn't just a rebel who made a few bad choices. He's a broken soul, shaped by childhood trauma, royal pressure, and a lifetime of silence from those who should have stepped in. The world watched him grow up, fall apart, and smile for cameras while privately unraveling. His pain became public entertainment, turned into Netflix specials, best-selling memoirs, and press fodder. But the truth behind the spotlight has always been far darker. He never got the help he truly needed. Now, the consequences have finally broken through the palace walls. And the people who once protected him are scrambling not to save him, but to save themselves. Because if this crisis explodes, it won't just redefine Harry's legacy. It could unravel the royal family's image, expose years of quiet complicity, and prove that even in a kingdom built on power, they still failed to protect one of their own. The real tragedy? He was crying out for help all along and no one listened. What do you think really happened behind closed doors? Was this just a tragic accident or something far more calculated? Drop your thoughts in the comments.